Hello again, artisans and art fans. My name is Bethel. Welcome to another artist journey video. We just moved in and I now officially have an artist author studio, but I'm not ready to show it to you yet. There's blank walls, lots of unpacked boxes. Today I thought we'd continue the theme of the things that I do have going for me, and we would talk about my first published book. So my book is independently published, which means that used to be referred to as self-published, but that confuses a lot of people because they think that you did every step by yourself with no help. And that is obviously not the case. So I hired my cover designer, I hired my formatter, I hired editors, the whole 9 yards for my book. And the poems for my book, pretty much since I started writing poetry, up until about 2019, and of course I was tweaking them, and I started the publishing process in 2019, and it went into 2020, and I launched my first book with this cover. It's called Conversations with Good Men, and it's poems. It's mostly centered around my dating experiences, and I kind of structured it like a play with 2 intermissions. One is spiritual poems and the other one father-daughter poems, and how those influence kind of my dating experiences. So a lot of people like this cover. I originally was pretty happy with it. It kind of summed up like my actual dating experience. A lot of it was meeting, it was online dating mostly, and then so I'd meet guys at coffee houses, and so this kind of represented that pretty well. But I did find that a lot of people thought it was maybe self-help or novel or something. Somehow this was not on genre. So somewhat recently, oh gosh, was it I think it was 2 years ago now, I redid the cover with a new cover designer, and it's more on brand for poetry. It is got some of the line imagery is really in right now, and I also want to incorporate like my mixed media art. So I use embroidery, I use little embellishments and things. So the concept for it came to me while I was on a plane. And this is actually my hand, the outline of my hand. I took a picture and then I traced it, and then I sent it to the designer, and she kind of helped put some of these elements together and bring the vision to life. I knew I wanted butterflies rising away, and I knew I wanted there to be petals kind of being dropped from the book, from the hand. So that was kind of the vision, and she brought it to life beautifully. I was very happy with her. It was very important to me that my book could be found like in a library or bookstore, and it would look exactly like the front matter would look exactly like any other books. I'm just going to show you that, where it has like all the publication info and the Ziploc and all of that. And that was from the very beginning that I had all of that. I wanted it to look very professionally done and unidentified, like indistinguishable, that's the word, from any other book on the bookshelf. Like it wouldn't be lacking in quality at all. Why I felt it was important to talk about my book as something that I have going for me as part of my trying to become a full-time author artist in 2025. It's hard to say all that in one mouthful. Is that it is one step on a 3-step journey of getting to my 3rd book, because they say what sells your first book is your 3rd book. I'm working very hard this year on publishing book number 2, and I already have it about 2/3 written. I know exactly the editors I want to ask to be on board again, and exactly who I want to do the cover, the same one who did this one. When you have 2 books, it automatically just helps you, because if somebody's not interested in the topic of the one, they might be interested in the topic of the other. You just never know. And if they are interested in the one, a lot of times they'll buy both. There are typically 3 ways that you would publish. One is independent publishing, the way that I did, where you do hire your cover designer, your editors, someone to do the front matter, sometimes a couple different people. I think I had to hire someone specifically to write that Ziploc material the way that the librarians want it, so that you can be in libraries. And you know, each step of the way you are hiring your people, and it's coming together to make a cohesive book that you are happy with. So that was my path, and that's what I know the most about. So if you have questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. There's also the hybrid method, which is where you hire someone to kind of do, or hire generally a company to kind of oversee the whole thing. They would pick the cover designer, they would pick the editors, they would give you feedback even. Sometimes they will play the role of a publisher, but you are paying them for that experience. And then they typically do like a royalty split with you. Whereas obviously if you indie publish, you take all your royalties, but you also pay all the upfront expenses for producing the book. And then of course, traditional publishing, where you submit to different publishing houses. I think it's the big 4 or 5 now that are left. And then of course, all their subsidiaries and imprints. And that is the hardest as far as the initial step of getting in. Traditional publishers typically put their money behind big names, celebrities, people who've already done well with one book, or a different series or something like that. They do not typically put a lot of money behind new authors. But for me, the biggest turnoff was that my royalties would be very, very small. It's usually like less than 10%, and you're still gonna have to do all your own marketing. It's a real struggle to get in the first place, especially with poetry. They typically, whether it's either you would win a prize, like a school prize that's big in the poetry world, a college or university prize, and they publish your book, or you would go with the try to 5, but either way, usually they typically want a number of the poems to have been published in journals before. They kind of want like that social proof that other people approved of your work. And statistically, that takes about 1 out of 100 submissions that gets accepted. So for 100 submissions, 1 would get accepted. And I just did not have the time or energy to do that. And I also just was a little against it because it's still very much a white male world. And I didn't want to need that approval of some guy somewhere to get my voice out there, to get my story out there. And so if I can do it myself, why not? So that was kind of why I chose indie publishing over traditional or even hybrid. I liked having the sense of, I don't want to say control, that sounds negative, but just the sense of responsibility over the final product. And something like where, I did this cover and then I was less than satisfied with it. So I was able to change the cover, and now I'm like super happy with it. So there's just things like that being an indie published author allows me to do. And one of the reasons I changed the book cover was so that it would facilitate me being able to share some of my art at the book fairs and festivals. This kind of sits right in there with my art, whereas this one kind of did not. It was very like, oh, she's got a book and then she's got somebody else's art or something, because sometimes I will have another person sitting in the booth with me, like a friend, so that I can go to the restroom or something, and people would think like, oh, the book is hers and the art is the other person's or something. So that was part of the reason for changing the book cover. But it's just been such a learning experience to have a book, to publish a book from start to finish, to go through that whole process. And I'm excited to put some more marketing energy behind my book, and I will of course share tips if those are of interest to you. But just let me know in the comments which way you'd like me to go with sharing more, and I will do that. So thank you so much for tuning in, and enjoy the B footage of me unpacking. So this one marks the delineation between these, which were ones that actually were messed up because they put the wrong ISBN, and these ones that have the correct ISBN. But since there's literally nothing else wrong with these, I keep them and I give them away free. I just have it scribbled out, the wrong ISBN scribbled out. These are also being given away free because I obviously have the new book cover, but I just like to, sometimes I don't want to give it to someone with the wrong ISBN because I'm afraid they might be a potential person who would buy more, and I don't want to throw them off. But otherwise, they're kind of basically the same. And here we have the new ones. It's gonna bother me to split them. So maybe, I recently. That's it for backstock. The one thing I didn't talk about actually is that I did print on demand. So I do not keep a lot of my book in stock. This is really it. Most people order it from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and there's a few other places. I should remember them all, but mostly it's you order a copy and it gets sent out and that's it. I don't keep it in stock. So this is literally just what I take to like book fairs and stuff, and I'm actually getting a little low, so I may need to put in another order pretty soon. Couldn't let it go. And they might stay nicer this way anyways. At least that's what I'm telling myself, so that I can feel better about putting them all on the same shelf. Okay, so that's the new ones. And these are the ones I'll just grab when there's a book fair. And these are the old ones, which I give out kind of, I like to take them to little free libraries. That's super fun. And just randomly sign them and stick them in there. I'm also very slowly going to the actual real libraries and asking them if they would like a copy to keep in stock, because even though my book is made ready to order, it takes a lot of convincing to get a library to actually stock your book. So the easiest way is just to bring in a copy and ask them who their person is that makes those decisions, and then give them that copy and ask them if they would be willing to stock it. And that's I've had some success with that so far, so I need to keep going with that. That's kind of a one book at a time thing, so that's how it goes. You would rarely get an advance nowadays, and you would have to earn that out before you would earn any author, what's the word? It's not commissions. What's the word? Oh my gosh, it'll come to me. So thank you so much. For watching, and hopefully not judging, and we'll see you next Saturday. So thank you so much for watching and hopefully not judging, and I'll see you next weekend.